Hey guys, Average Progressive here, and I want to start off with some good news. Legislation in the Senate to save net neutrality was recently passed this week, and that's a win. But I wouldn't be too optimistic because I know that the House is obviously a majority Republican. The Republicans are the ruling party. The FCC is the FCC for Trump. It's their side. I don't think that the House is gonna pass the bill, but we'll see. We still gotta keep pushing for it. We still gotta work for it. But that's the situation we're in. But in a more serious note, I think that a lot of the senators, the Republican senators specifically, that probably decided to vote for this bill was probably doing it for political reasons, political expedient. It's politically expedient to do it. You know, if it's popular, they can do it, and they know they're not going to face the repercussions because of the fact that there's a Republican Senate that's probably not going to pass it. But since we're on the topic of net neutrality, I want to decide. I want to talk about the arguments usually made against net neutrality. So there's a wonderful video by this YouTube channel, PSA Snitch. He talks about the big net neutrality lies, the reason why they're lies, and he goes into a lot of detail. It's a 38-minute long video, but I'll try to shorten a lot of the information for you, and I suggest watching his video if you want. So let's go ahead, let's get right into it. So in his video, he talks about these three main arguments that people use against net neutrality. Number one, that there was no internet regulation before net neutrality or before 2015. Everything was Number two, everything was fine before 2015. The ISPs were not abusing their power. And number three, net neutrality was a solution made for a non-problem created by Obama, or not necessarily Obama, but you know, the liberals in power. So, first of all, he references early on in the video this document from 2002 talking about these basic principles. Now, these principles, as you see on the screen, are the fundamental base, these are what formed net neutrality in the future. These are principles. These are the net neutrality principles. Not in 2015, not in 2010, but 2002. That was the George W. Bush presidency. You know, that was a long time ago. And those principles that were the formation of net neutrality existed back then. So there goes the first lie, that there was no internet regulation at all. And you want to see it being enforced, here's a statement from Chairman Kevin J. Martin calling out Comcast for secretly degrading peer-to-peer applications. That's the title of it. Now, he writes here, and I found this interesting, Comcast was delaying subscribers' downloads and blocking their uploads. They were even doing it 24/7, regardless of the amount of congestion on the network or how small the file might be. Even worse, Comcast was hiding the fact that they're doing this to their affected users, and they were trying to make them think there was a problem with their internet connection or the application itself. So, there's literally all three arguments that were made by Ajit Pai himself in an article that the video referred to early on. All three of those arguments are simply untrue. There was regulation. The FCC was trying to enforce it. It wasn't made by Obama or the liberals for some weird grand conspiracy to take away your internet freedom. And yes, and I want to focus on number two, the ISPs were abusing their power. So there was already that Comcast thing that I mentioned earlier. And that's a pretty big, significant thing that the chairman of the FCC at the time was calling it out. Significant enough. But it wasn't just that single Comcast moment. There was also a whole bunch of them. And another good thing about this video is that PSA Snitch decided to list them all out. Very clear for us to see. So I'm going to read some, but I suggest watching the video if you want to hear more details. So some significant ones: Verizon disables Bluetooth for their competition, AT&T preventing Skype from working on iPhones, Verizon disabling other GPS products, Verizon disabling FM radio chips in the phones that are using Verizon. You know, obviously all this is to help them. And some other stuff here. This is a little bit more modern. This is in 2014. This is before 2015. This isn't the way distant past. So, Verizon and AT&T putting super cookies on their phone. I'm not sure what that means, but that's probably a technical term. Comcast engages 0 rating with Xfinity Video. Verizon admits to wanting paid fast lanes in court. And in 2014, the year before net neutrality, Verizon disabled all FM tuner apps. So, it's very clear with that alone that there were abuses by those in power at the time, by the ISPs. So another big thing I want to talk about, and this is one of the more upsetting arguments. I don't think this was really used too much in the video. This is kind of something I noticed myself, and this is very upsetting, is the fact that a lot of these woke right-wingers, they like to pretend that, oh, net neutrality is bad because these big companies like Google and Netflix are supporting net neutrality, so it can't be good. They have to have some kind of ulterior motive. They want to oppress competition, they want to stop their competition, and they want to be the only ones in the market. They don't want a free internet marketplace. So, the problem with that is the fact that, I'm going to use Netflix for an example. Netflix is its own company. They want to make money. There's no going around that. They are a company, that's their bottom line. I thought you guys were the free market folks. But it's not their concern that they want to take over the entire market. It's the fact that their competition, Hulu, and I have the numbers right here if you want to see it. Let me get closer to it. Right here, if you look on the right over here, you can see the owners of their competition, Hulu. So Netflix and Hulu serve the same kind of purpose. They want to let you stream video and film and movies and shows. What you see, look who owns Hulu. 21st Century Fox, Comcast, the Walt Disney Company, Time Warner. So, if you asked me, if these companies, like Time Warner, Comcast especially, had the ability, and they're the internet service providers, if they had the ability to slow down internet flow to Netflix and other services, what's going to happen? People are going to get frustrated. But if the Netflix company, if the company itself pays Comcast, for example, or any other internet service provider, an appropriate amount of money, they're going to speed up the lane. But the problem with that is, in order to compensate for that lost money, Netflix is going to have to raise prices. So, if you're the consumer and you want to use your Netflix, but then you realize, oh my goodness, Netflix is raising prices. Meanwhile, something like Hulu, if they're paying that money into to a company like Comcast, they can actually lower Hulu prices if they wanted to. If they wanted to. They don't even have to change it, but if the people, the consumers, see that Netflix is raising prices like that, and if in some people's cases being slowed down, they're probably gonna go to Hulu. So guess what? That hurts Netflix's profits. So, I wonder what ulterior motive Netflix has for supporting net neutrality. It's not some kind of conspiracy. They want to make money. So they're going to want to protect themselves as a company. That's called competition. You know, these free market types, they're like, oh, we need to protect our free markets. The liberals are under attack. Net neutrality stifles a free and open internet. No, it doesn't. It protects a free and open internet and protects other services like Netflix. Now, let's say one of these companies, like an ISP like Comcast, wants to make their own search engine. Well, they slowed down their users and the consumers' access to stuff like Google. They make Google searches unbearably slow. And guess what? They advertise their product so much more, a lot. People get interested. People go to that. That's an unfair advantage in the market. That hurts competition. Now, I'm a left-wing guy, but I don't mind competition too much in companies. I believe in fair competition, though, whether that be in the smallest of businesses, because I want small businesses to grow. I'm not anti-small business, or the biggest of businesses. Netflix, Google, Hulu, Comcast, these are big companies. And Netflix isn't a conglomerate, but Comcast is, what the Disney company is. So if the big conglomerates are supporting a certain thing like Hulu, for example, yeah, they're gonna try to crush Netflix in any way possible. That's just how business works. It's the bottom line. So it's not like some kind of conspiracy. To put it short, these companies that these people are saying, oh, they support net neutrality, so they have some kind of ulterior motive. These companies like Google and Netflix, they want to protect their profits, of course. Because without net neutrality, companies like Hulu, who is owned by these big conglomerates like Comcast, do have an unfair advantage in the market. So, I think any sane believer in markets, or any sane person in the country, believes that, yeah, competition in these businesses could be beneficial to the consumer as long as it's equal, as long as stuff is improving. Like, these companies are getting more support or getting more buys based on the quality of the product rather than an unfair advantage given by the lack of regulation. So, that's that. That's my little net neutrality discussion. I'll try to include a link for Battle for the Net in the description. I want to thank PSA Snitch for his wonderful research, and I want to thank you guys for watching. So, yeah.